All right, let's do it live on a Football Friday edition of Cleveland Browns Daily. Merely Bo, the great Z. The sun is out. I felt like I could have wore shorts. I know it's in the 30s, but because of where we've been the last couple of days, it felt like 60 degrees getting out of the car walking over today, buddy. Really did.
Yes, but it hurts me to hear you say these things. There was discussions very similar to this going on in the cafe today. And I'm like, you guys have like Stockholm syndrome. You think anybody?
Yes.
You think anybody in Florida's like, oh man, let's go where it's 30 and sunny.
No.
And we're acting like it's balmy out. And
Yeah.
it's what a privilege it is to live in this weather. No, this is still garbage.
Unless we somehow take our fair city and transport it to New Mexico or Arizona, this is as good as it gets, brother. This is Apex, January, Ohio, right here. You're looking at it. Sun-kissed, bluebird, 30 degrees. Take the kids tubing. Let's go.
Well, that sounds great.
You got all the snow in the world for it.
Is NBC able to tube, or does he have to be?
It's been a rough stretch.
How could it not be, dude?
It's brutal.
This has zapped him of the things that he
Yeah,
enjoys
he loves
the most.
Yeah, he's cast comes off Monday morning at like 8.
So it hasn't been that long.
In 5 weeks,
5,
something like that.
I mean, I'm not familiar with
yeah,
cast durations, but it feels like
come again.
cast durations. The
Okay,
duration.
it sounded like
castrations?
yeah.
No, I'm not familiar with those either, fortunately.
No, I am. I've seen that done
Well, you
to many a cow.
you did grow up on a farm.
They
a
don't
ranch.
feel it. It's just a rubber band, and then it just falls off over time.
I guess I was
The old
familiar
days, they
with
used
it
to
with those
snip it.
greyhounds that ended up having the fakes.
Oh yeah, that's right. The fakes.
The fakes.
You didn't see that coming.
Yeah, but I don't know what a duration, like how long you're in a cast for. Fortunately,
Depends
I was
on
never, as a
neither.
kid, I never had a cast.
That's what I told him. I said I navigated life without ever being in a cast, and
You could tell them me too.
and it's Uncle Z too, and
Yeah.
we're
Here
fine.
you are.
And here you are. You already have it. Seems like a you problem to me, buddy.
So he's going to be out, and once he's out, is he good to go?
yeah, he can play right away. So he's been running on the treadmill, and he's not going to. I mean, it's left hand, so and he dribbles a lot with his left. So that'll be.
That's just
It's a guide hand on the shot, but just he likes to go left
has he
a
been
lot.
doing a lot of this?
Yeah, a lot of that.
A lot of one-hand
Yeah,
shooting.
Yeah, a lot of that. So
He could shoot a jumper like a name of Michael Adams with that little
He had
double
the
pump
hitch.
one-hander. It was a
Yeah.
one-handed push.
That was a beautiful thing of that era of basketball. Is it was like the last era where there wasn't like shot doctors.
Yeah, it's all cookie cutter now.
You just shot the way that you learned how to shoot. The great Larome.
Who was this?
That's your Bill Cartwright right there.
It sure is.
But yeah, you got Michael Adams shot the way Larry Bird shot over his. His was here. And that's how that was. Like everybody,
Chris
Magic
Mullin was
Johnson
pretty
shot
locked
like
in.
was like
Perfect.
a set shot.
Kevin Duckworth had a little like
Yeah.
from
All
his,
sorts of different shots. But and even like through the early 90s, like Nick Van Exel had a little bit of a different shot. But now everybody, with the exception of LeBron, pretty much shoots some form of the way Steph does with it. And that's how they teach it, is like that now.
Chris Mullin was kind of in there back in the day.
Yeah, he was
Then
pretty pure.
You had Drazen was pure. Purvis Short.
Oh, my
Used to
gosh.
throw
There you go.
some
Never
rain-
nervous Purvis Ellison.
Some rainbows up from the top of his head. A Terry Teagle
Terry Teagle.
had a nice shot. A nice shot.
Terry Porter did not.
No, but he was good.
He was.
You don't really have those kind of guys anymore either.
The Dennis Johnson, Terry Porter, kind of like gamey ones.
Gamey, yeah. I guess
Yeah.
Suggs in
Creator.
Orlando.
Mark Jackson was probably the
Is
last
Suggs
one.
kind of like that?
I haven't seen enough to know. I remember him at Gonzaga. He wasn't that at Gonzaga. I don't know what he's like in the pros.
He's not a great shooter. They got
That's
Paulo
weird, he
Banchero.
was.
They got my guy Banchero.
Your boy, yeah. You're in the first floor of the fan club.
Oh. If the league was disbanded today
Yeah, you love him.
and I could have one guy,
Yeah,
he's my first pick.
he's your first pick.
Yeah. SGA's pretty good too, but give me Banchero.
He's good. He's very good. What else I want to discuss with you today? Oh, wait. It looks like you have something.
No,
ahead.
go. That I do. I do have things.
Go ahead. Let's go. I want to do yours, and then we'll save it.
So I was with my boy Zashin last night, and we were discussing
Z plus Z.
Yeah, the Killer Z's.
Killer Z's.
We were discussing a great many things. One of which was Landman.
Okay.
He loves it. I
course
love
he
it.
does.
We just it's
Is he all the way through?
he is almost all the way through.
Yeah.
I'm trailing him. I know you're fully done.
Yep.
Great. Did you dip in any more Penguin?
I wasn't able to last night. I had sports I had to watch last night, so I wasn't able to.
It's just so it's great. He agreed with me that the notion that these guys are going to beat up his son in a confined area and then leave him there.
Right. Like, just go dump him.
That would really be your only chance. Now,
even still, you'd get sought out and found, and the rest would happen for sure. I think my piece of advice on it is, and it kind of is with all the Taylor Sheridan shows, you really don't think too hard about them. What I mean by that is in terms of like, this action elicits this reaction.
Yeah.
And this happened here, so then this can't happen here. Oftentimes what happens here has no bearing on what's going to happen here.
Correct.
In the Taylor Sheridan world.
No.
You're not held accountable for
Until
something that
you
happened
are.
5 episodes ago.
Right.
It may have happened in a closet, and then you'll never hear of it again.
Yep.
So that's one thing that I've known. So just kind of, that's why from a week to, I'm curious, like with on a binge, how it's working, because week to week, like sometimes you'll forget some things from the previous week. So we were watching them live. I guess we were watching them Mondays is when I ended up watching. Toward the end, I was watching them on Sunday nights when I was kind of bored of the Sunday night football games. And it was really great for that, like something to look forward to every week. And then it's kind of like a blank slate every week. I mean, there's continuation, but
sure,
it was. So I think he's landed and he's got the perfect marriage of actor and material. It's much like the Costner Yellowstone. Like when they landed Costner to play that role in Yellowstone, like that.
Oh, that solidifies
that's built for him, and I think this is built for Billy Bob.
Agreed. What I want to know is, and maybe I'm wrong about it, maybe she's been way more, much busier than perhaps I thought.
Yeah.
But, like, where has Allie Larder been? Because she is phenomenal in it, and it really looks like her kind of like where she was in stuff wrapped up in the early 2000s.
Well, what has she been in? Like after Varsity Blues, what would I know that she's been in?
So she was in, I don't know how big of a part. She's in all the Resident Evils.
Okay.
I don't know how big of a part. She was in Final Destinations.
Legally Blonde.
She was in Legally Blonde. Who was she in Legally Blonde?
Was she one of the big bads? I don't know if I've ever seen Legally Blonde, like start to finish.
Not
I'm
in,
aware of it.
honestly, she's just not in anything that looks like.
Looks like she plays Brooke in Legally Blonde. I don't know which one's.
I don't know what that means.
She was in a show called Heroes.
Okay, I remember
with
that
Hayden
show.
Panettiere. She was Nikki Sanders. So she was like a titular character, as they say, but that ended in 2010.
Man, so pretty quiet last decade.
Incredibly quiet last decade. She was in a show called The Rookie, which was on ABC, but she's not even on the poster, so I'm guessing she just made a guest appearance on that show. And there's 10 people on the poster. 2000 and I saw one that was like 2023. She was in some movie, The Man in the White Van. Have you ever heard of that?
No, I have not.
Thriller suspense. Starring, I mean, she's in. So no, this is a huge comeback for her. Huge comeback.
Yeah, kind of out of nowhere.
Yeah,
I mean, it's been a long, long time. I was curious if she like married. She's married to another actor, comedian guy, and so I didn't know if maybe she just like went off the grid to raise kids. And I'll see you back, but she's back now, baby.
I mean, her parents are Margaret and Danforth Larder.
Well, okay then. It feels like that would be substantial. Feels like
if you're still rolling as Danforth and are not just Dan at the point where you're in your 60s, you've done very well.
You've done well, yeah.
Right?
I would think. I think you probably have a fair read on that, yeah. If you're still rocking a Danforth.
If you're still going by Danforth, yes.
Yeah, that feels like it. How about when Dewan was in here yesterday and he talked about the program, having that's like a thing, and it occurred to me that how did he not see that? But then I realized that was out in like the mid-'90s. But then I thought to myself, I wonder
1993, my friend.
Yeah.
Dewan Jones, not even a
no, but I thought that
would
be something that would kind of pass through the sports world. Like we were talking about euchre yesterday, and I feel like Major League is something that if you play baseball, you've seen Major League. I guess I just assumed football players would have seen the
it?
program and Varsity Blues. Is that a fair assumption?
So
like football players have seen those two?
No, clearly.
I guess not. And then
I think they would.
Where's Any Given Sunday on that?
That was the one I was going to say, because that's your high school, that's your college. I think if you probably played high school football in Texas, you have watched Varsity Blues. Like anybody on our team who's played their high school ball in Texas, 100% watch Varsity Blues.
That feels fair.
100%.
Yeah. I feel like it's
the program. I don't know. And then so that program was 93. Yeah, Dwayne Davis, who played Alvin Mack, is Wyatt Davis's father, who was with us.
Yeah,
an offensive lineman with us. When was Any Given Sunday? I want to say 2000. Yeah, 1999. I mean, that to me feels like anybody in the league should have watched Any Given Sunday. But these kids were born then.
No, I know. I get that part of it. I just thought that to me it seems like requirement.
To me,
to
the
watch
only one of these that I would rank them in terms of requirement would be if you played football in Texas, definitely Varsity Blues would be, to me, the number one. That would be a given. The program feels like it should be a requirement for anybody who goes to a big-time college.
Yeah, if you played at Big State U,
it was basically supposed to be Florida State, right? I mean,
it was. It was Eastern State. The coach was an older guy who was covering stuff, and that was always kind of the thing with Bowden. They shot the games at South Carolina, but they were the Wolf Pack, and their colors were gold and kind of maroon and black.
Yes,
they looked like
Florida,
FSU.
Yeah,
they looked.
State.
That's what I thought, and I think that's what all of us thought watching it, is that it was Florida State. That was the part of it. They're also different in terms of the program Varsity Blues, and then the Any Given Sunday I've seen probably only twice. I've seen you see the YouTube clips all the time. Just started and finish it. I watched it in the theater.
We need those inches,
and I think I've seen it maybe one other time.
I used to own it on DVD. That was one of my from Columbia House. I'm sure that was it. I checked the box for Any Given Sunday.
What was that? You got 10 for $1.
Yeah,
and then you had to buy another 6 over 3 years.
Yeah, if you actually did it, it wasn't bad. But I think most people did it, forgot about it, and then were just being charged perpetuity
forever.
for nothing.
Yes, if you actually did the
it wasn't bad.
Wasn't too bad. Yeah. It was always a jump starter on your CD collection too. Yeah. Your DVD CD. You did that. Here's
now I'm
10
in.
CDs. Now I'm in.
Now I'm in.
Ready to go.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Those all seem like NBC has seen the program. I know he's seen Varsity Blues. I don't think he's Remember the Titans for sure. We watched that as a family, but I don't know if he's seen Any Given Sunday yet. They would watch it, but they watch him get all fired up.
There's some intense.
These dudes are watching every horror movie on the planet. They can take.
Yeah. Did you tell him that Allie Larder is in Landman?
Well, I didn't watch Varsity Blues with him.
Oh, gotcha.
Him and his bozos watched it. So I did not get into that with him.
So it wasn't even discussed though.
No, I just know that he's seen it because in football season they were watching that and the program, and they were all into all that stuff.
Okay.
So
have you had them watch? Have they watched Friday Night Lights, the series?
So we were going to do that this summer. Amy and I were going to do that with him because he was staying up an hour later, and so I haven't seen it since it. Let's check. Let's maybe do this. I did it over COVID. Actually, I did it, and
they're going to be thrilled when they actually see how great the real Buddy Garrity is.
Not initially though. He's not great. That comes later. He's kind of a
nefarious
pain to begin with, and then he becomes beloved as it goes on, much like my current Buddy Garrity. The thing, though, that really became quickly uncomfortable dealing with the stuff that teenagers have to deal with a 12-year-old at the time.
Yeah.
With Amy and I, it was kind of I'm I don't know if I want to deal with Lila Garrity and all that stuff with him now.
Yeah.
We'll have to deal with that on our own.
Yeah.
So whatever. So I think we watched Lost instead.
Yeah,
is what we did. So yeah, they like that a lot. It is a divisional weekend in the National Football League. 2 Saturday, 2 Sunday. Are you surprised that they didn't put the 2 AFC games on Sunday, the 2 NFC games on Saturday?
I think that they fully realized that we have two banger games, and they just want those to be in the prime times. I guess they could have done that with the NFC. They could have still done it, right? Because you have
Sure. You could have just taken the
Chiefs
Packers
to replace.
or you could have just taken the Packers and played them Saturday night and Sunday afternoon, done Detroit and Tampa. Or Detroit and Washington, I'm sorry. Detroit and Washington.
The two prime times are Detroit and Washington, right?
Yeah.
And Buffalo. So I think.
But do you think that that Detroit Washington is that much bigger draw than Green Bay Philly? I think Green Bay Philly, or not Philly Rams, yes. Philly Rams. Yeah, it would be. It would be.
Yeah.
Detroit Washington.
But you could
would be
still have
bigger,
had
yeah.
that be on. You could have still done them on the same day because you have one primetime game from each conference.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, just take Philly and put them on Saturday.
My guess is that it's drafted as follows. That it's the 1 o'clock. Let's see.
The least
I think
value
that
would be
4:30 Saturday is
Yes.
is fourth,
Yeah.
and so I think that's where they stuck Texans Chiefs, and then
Then all you had to do was just put
6:30 Sunday was 1,
yeah.
8 p.m. Saturday was 2, and then 3. So I think they thought Rams Eagles was better than Texans Chiefs.
I get why they did it from a
But
TV
it's
standpoint.
not close
but
enough. I would have just done them on the same day.
Yeah, do it on the same day, and it's not really fair to the team that's losing a day of rest. Like, the team's playing Saturday. Whoever gets through's got an advantage. The 2 1 seeds play Saturday. If they both win, Kansas City and Detroit, they're both at home next Sunday, and they both get an extra day of rest.
It's interesting. I wonder if that's why it's done.
You're talking about
if it's a 1 seed. If it's a 1 seed thing.
I don't know, but that's. You're Kansas City could be done by 8 o'clock on Saturday. They'll be done and on to the next round, provided it goes the way we think it's going to go. Conversely, the Bills and Ravens. If the Ravens win in Buffalo, they're going to get home at midnight, and then it's next day's Monday, and away we go. They're gaining a lot. Kansas City's gaining a lot.
I think it's a 1 seed. I think it's a champion's prerogative.
I'd love that.
I'd
if
have
it
to
was.
go back and look last year. What was it last year?
Did the 1 seeds in the NFC and the AFC both play Saturday?
Let's
The 1 seed in the AFC would have been Baltimore, and I'm pretty sure Baltimore played the 4:30 game last year against Houston.
2024.
But the key would be, what's the Saturday night? The Saturday night game would that have been what? Were they
So
the
they
Niners?
played. So on Saturday was Packers at Niners and Texans at Ravens.
So maybe it is. Maybe they're giving that extra day to the 1 seeds.
Sunday was Chiefs at Bills and Bucks at Lions.
Bucks at Lions.
So maybe that is. Maybe it's the 1 seed.
Bucks at Lions was the 1. No, Detroit was the 2 last year, weren't they?
Then if that's, Detroit would have been the 2. Chiefs and Bills. The 1 seed was the Ravens, and the 1 seed was the Niners.
Okay, yeah.
Detroit was the 3. Tampa was the 4. Dallas was the 2. Green Bay beat them when they were the 7.
Oh, so that's why 7 played 1.
Yep.
Okay.
And the Bucks beat the Eagles?
Yes, they did.
Smoked the Eagles.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe that's what it is.
Maybe that's what they're doing. They're giving the 1 seeds even that. Not only are you at home, but you're going to get an extra 36 hours.
Yeah.
Head start.
Day plus. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really big in the AFC side because it's the early and the late game.
Yep.
Typically this weekend, and we'll do the picks later, but typically this weekend, a team win. It's usually very good, and usually a team wins this weekend that you don't anticipate. There's usually an upset. There's usually something you didn't foresee. There are 2 big numbers in these games, and I think those are the only 2 games where it could be if the Rams beat Philly, that would be considered an upset too. I think it's 6. The other 2 are touchdown plus. There's no upset in Baltimore and Buffalo. That's whoever wins
so
wins on that one. Which of the other 3 do you think is most prone to upset? Houston at Kansas City, L.A. at Philly, or Commies at top-seeded Leos?
I would rank them Eagles, Lions, and then big gap Chiefs. I'm higher on the Commanders than I think many.
You're higher on the Commanders than the folks in the desert.
Yeah. Significantly so.
Yeah.
Significantly
Because I thought
so.
you guessed you were like at 3 or something, weren't you? What you thought that was, and it was
I think I maybe
9.5,
4.5. Yeah,
something like that. It's 9.5.
9.5. I don't think the Chiefs are losing that game. I just don't think they are. Period. I think that the Eagles could lose, and I think that the Lions could lose, which would make, as much as I do like the Commanders, and that's a fan base that, boy, they've been battered.
Yep.
I still want the Lions to win the NFC. Like, that's if I'm rooting just as a fan, I want the Lions to win the NFC.
I think if I rank NFC, like who I'm rooting for,
Yeah.
probably be Lions, Commies, Rams, Eagles. This is probably how I would root it.
I would go Lions. I might go Lions, Rams, Commies, Eagles. There's something about that Rams team that's fun.
I just respect the heck out of them. They went all in to win a Super Bowl. They had no draft picks, so they had to hit on the ones that they did have, and they crushed them. And they stayed in the mix.
Yeah.
And are in the postseason regularly in a team where it should have been like, there were people saying, all right, trade Stafford, tank. Trade him to Miami and tank. Like all of that. Well, here they are.
Here they are.
Here they are, man.
So those would be my favorites. And then on the AFC side, from a just pure rooting standpoint.
Yeah. I mean, Buffalo.
I think Buffalo would be 1. Baltimore would be 2. Kansas City 3. And Houston 4. Houston, no rooting. 0 rooting.
Yeah, I'm not rooting for the Ravens. I don't need to see another Super Bowl over there.
No, you know what? I like Monken. We're out of it, obviously. It's kind of like sometimes teams, in the Big Ten root for the other Big Ten teams in bowls. It's like this is a representative of your conference. I also think Lamar has put in the work and is singularly great. And the one thing he doesn't have is a Super Bowl appearance on his resume. And I think it's a very team game. I think it'd be Derrick Henry, Monken. We know, Sashi Brown, Simone. We have more.
Simone.
Maybe Simone at that point would actually make good. Maybe when he gets.
Do you want even to get a visual of that guy walking around with a ring?
I would like him to.
He'd wear it like a necklace.
I'd like him to compensate us for our free dinner, and I feel like maybe a Super Bowl bonus would do that for Simone.
No, I don't think it would. I think he would give us some sort of a gift certificate to some sort of Boston or a Baltimore restaurant is probably how it would go.
No, he would probably send us some swag, which we would throw away.
Burn. Gibby would wear it.
Gibby would wear it.
Burn it.
No, Buffalo.
I understand all that from that. Yeah, I can't. But I understand the rooting for them. I don't have anything against the Texans, and I like CJ a lot. By the way,
I have things against the Texans.
Chris Sims, what'd they do to you?
I don't know if you're aware or not, but a lot of these things that have gone wrong with us originated with a deal made with the Houston Texans.
Oh, I'm well aware of that.
Yeah, so I'm not interested in their successes at all.
Okay, all right. Well, the team that you just put ahead of them actually took the team.
Well, there's some ties here.
They literally took the team.
Ozzie Newsome is a fine man. I got to spend some time with him.
Yeah.
He's great. He's Hanford's best friend.
Chris Sims was pretty adamant this week about what people have wrong on CJ versus his struggles this year compared to what he was a year ago. And what he was pretty adamant about was that the protection has been so bad and the plan with that protection has been so bad that has created what has happened.
That's part of it, but I watched him miss a billion easy throws this year.
Yeah.
Just miss, which is wild.
Yeah.
I think that there is a lot of, as good as hot a name as Bobby Slowick was last year, he's getting a lot of grief and blame based on those things what you were talking about.
Yeah, Sims was pretty adamant about it. One other thing, we'll close up on this, then we'll get to the man who birthed
hydration
this show from his loins. College football. There's starting
from now on. When I hear college football, I expect Nate to come after it. Right. So I didn't know where I was getting nervous.
I'm gonna lay this out for you. This is the college football playoff needs to have for next year to fix this.
This game should be played.
You play the quarterfinal games on the Thursday and Friday, December 11th, 12th. You can even play the 13th because the NFL can't play that weekend yet. So that's your quarterfinals. You then play your.
What about Thursday night on then? Are you running into Thursday night football?
Then just do it the 12th and 13th.
Okay. That's why I'm here.
The following weekend, you play. That's the first round. The quarterfinals are the following weekend on Friday night and Saturday night. So that would be the one where you'd have to say the NFL. I would even go Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and if you have to compete with the NFL on Thursday, fine. But I would get 2 on that Friday. I'd play a game at 6 and one at 9:30.
Okay.
East Coast, West Coast, away you go. That's your quarterfinals. Your semifinals are then New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, or you can play on both New Year's Day if you want, which is a Wednesday, and that gives you about 10 days between games. And then the national championship game is played on Friday, January 9th. Friday leading in to the wild card weekend in the NFL.
Yes.
It is, in a sense, an aperitif
Yes.
for the main course that is the NFL.
Yes.
Instead of trying to do this on a Monday, January 20th, this whole thing's done 11 days sooner. It's a wrap.
Agreed.
Because they're as big as it is, and the ratings will be a monster. You go on ESPN's homepage right now, it's not even on the main front of the homepage because it's all NFL. That's all they're talking about.
Yeah.
They're missing out. And there's an easy calendar to make it done, and they need to do it for next year. It's ridiculous that this game's not going to be played until Monday. We should have been played 10 days ago.
I'm with
we
you,
could have had
brother.
this thing wrapped up. So I think what college football ought to do, I spend a great deal of the morning campaigning for this, is they need to own Friday nights in December and early January, other than New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. You play them there, and that's the time that it's played. But other than that, take advantage of these Friday nights. It's a nice little lead into the NFL.
It's perfect. And even if you are going to keep it this week, it needed to be played on Friday. I mean, it's just the bottom line. It's silliness, craziness.
They have to get it done sooner, though, because you have classes, and I know that's
No, I know it needed to be done sooner. I'm saying
just
this
be done
year
with it.
even, though.
Even
the
this year,
idea-
they should have played it today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
They should have. And I know that's that old kind of adage that like nobody watches TV on Fridays, but I think that's long in the rearview mirror. I think once HBO started putting their best shows on like Sunday at 9 o'clock or Sunday at 10,
Yep.
and everybody followed it because it was great, it kind of proved that if you're great, people will watch it.
People will find it.
And they'll find it.
I have a. Why is it that? And correct me if I'm wrong. They still do this, but I think they do. Isn't the Final Four still always on a Saturday? And then
Saturday, Monday.
why are the two biggest championships that collegiate sports have to offer played on a Monday night?
It's nonsense.
That should be Friday, Sunday.
I think it was the old thing where I think it's what I said. Like people stayed away from. Nobody wanted to play Fridays.
They should
'cause
have
nobody
They
watched.
should have Final Four on Friday and the thing on
Yeah.
Sunday.
Yeah, I agree.
People watch the tournament every day,
Whenever it is.
whenever it is,
Yeah.
and now it starts on like a Tuesday with play-in games. People watch.
People watch. Yep, they will. Those are your hot topics of the day. Hot topics presented by University Hospitals, official healthcare partner of your Cleveland Browns. The Godfather, the great Vic Carucci, going to join us with a preview of the Bills and Ravens Sunday in Buffalo. That's coming up next. We're off and running. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Oh, baby. Time out on that Twisted Tea hotline presented by Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns. Keep it twisted, Cleveland. He is the godfather of Cleveland Browns Daily. He is the great Vic Carucci, and he joins us. Buddy, you got a game. You got a game over there Sunday, my friend. I mean, I know Buffalo's used to these games, but this feels like a lot Sunday night in Buffalo. What's kind of the temperature of the town today, my friend?
Yeah, well, the temperature's a lot warmer than the air temperature, I'll say that, although it's a pretty balmy 34 right now.
That's what we got.
Not bad. Not bad. But it's intense. So I had a speaking engagement this morning. It was a breakfast gathering very early this morning, and for 7:30 in the morning, these people were fired up. And I'm telling you, the vibe is like I've not seen it in a while, even with this team having been in this so-called Super Bowl window for multiple years. But there's just something different about where it stands now, and you can sense it.
Is Josh Allen notorious? And it is a pleasure to speak with you as always. Is Josh Allen the MVP in your eyes this year? I know Lamar has been sensational and he's a two-time winner, but is this the year that Josh Allen has had to really lift everything around him?
Yeah, I feel I blew through the pleasantries here. It's great to be back.
It's the best.
Always. I mean,
you're locked in. You're playing in the divisional round at home against the Ravens. You're locked in. Right now we can banter. We can have fun. You're locked in.
I got a little bit of a game face on right
yeah,
now.
It's good.
No, but it's always great to go. I feel like it's always going home with you guys.
Yes.
All right. Yes. Josh Allen. Let's talk about that because I am an MVP, a voter of the AP panel for All Pro and MVP and the other individual honors. We're admonished not to reveal how we voted for any of those individual awards until they're announced. Of course, that's February 6th in New Orleans at the honors show.
Yep.
But I'm going to give you an answer. I mean, in terms of how I see this, the body of work, it feels like you want to talk about taking temperature on a weekly basis. This thing, as you know, just went back and forth like a ping pong ball, and a wild, intense game of ping pong or anything that involves tennis, you name it, back and forth. And I've never felt that debate on a national scale become as intense as this one did because of the weekly accomplishments of these guys. Yeah. Josh had made his case, I thought, started making his case in October. It felt more like, even though his numbers obviously for the year are stronger, but Lamar's case came on in the latter stretch, right? It had that feeling that it was more late November and then through the final month or most of the final month of the regular season, final weeks, that his case was made. And of course, he played a full season. Josh played one snap of the 17th game for the obvious reasons against New England. And I don't think that disparity has anything to do with anything, including the numbers. It's what your value is to your team. That's how I judge this. In Josh's case, it was clear to me that he had to make up much more of the ground, and in terms of what he had, now he's not surrounded by a bunch of bums. It's a good roster. It's a really good roster. But Josh Allen's presence elevates, as the franchise quarterback should. Lamar Jackson elevates, but elevated, I think, in many cases, more talent, and in the obvious case of Derrick Henry, that dimension that the Bills don't have. But I'll tell you what, James Cook is no slouch as a running back, as you guys know, and that's why these are fine line comparisons all the way through. The voters, I thought, had a very tough job. I voted, because this has been announced, I can tell you, I voted Josh as my first team All-Pro. Lamar was my second team All-Pro. Yep. The final result was Lamar by just under double the amount of first place votes to get that first team. A lot of people will tell you that history shows the first team guy usually gets MVP, and that may work out this case. Last thing I'll say is on this subject is this: whoever wins it deserves it. Whoever finished second deserves it. Yeah. And I'll even go as far as whoever's third was certainly a consideration. And there just might be a different view of value to team versus All-Pro.
Well said, sir.
Very well
on
said.
all of those fronts, least surprising thing ever. But that's
what he does.
Yeah, that's the thing that is kind of the nuance of selecting the MVP. Obviously, both of those guys would trade any sort of MVP for an actual Super Bowl championship. Baltimore looks like a behemoth coming into this thing. What they've done offensively, they are such a buzzsaw. It seems like to me, Vic, when they start going downhill, about the only other team in the league when they start going downhill like them is Detroit, where it can turn into a whitewash in a hurry. Buffalo kind of sometimes has been the same. In terms of the sense of urgency around this group of Buffalo Bills, where is it heading into this one on Sunday with all that's on the line?
Yeah, of course, we go back to week 4 and how that downhill thing you're talking about was an avalanche that the Bills did not survive in Baltimore. And it was Derrick Henry from the very start, just blowing them up for 80-plus on the touchdown run. And the whole day, it was a sense of retreat. Now, that was a Buffalo defense missing some very key parts, Matt Milano being one of those. And then also at linebacker, you're looking at, a team that didn't have Terrell Bernard, although he's not the best run stopper. But, again, 2 starting linebackers gone and nickelback, who a Pro Bowler he has been in Taron Johnson. I think and he plays does some box work as well. I think those components returning can make a difference, but it has to start up front. The game has still got to be won in the middle of the line against the behemoth that is Derrick Henry. And if they get that going again, sure, it'll be a problem. What I see differently, though, this time is Buffalo's offensive evolvement since that game. They never really got in any rhythm, never got the passing game going the way it should. And I believe the best way, and I still see, and you guys know this Ravens team better than I do, the vulnerability that's on the back end there. And the way that you attack them is challenge them. And I think Josh, certainly can do, Josh Allen can do that. If you're going up against one of the best quarterbacks in the game, you're going to expect that guy's going to make some plays. Now, he doesn't have a plethora of top level game players, game breakers, but he's got enough in that receiving core that spreads it out, that can attack you at all levels. And, Khalil Shakir in the slot and Mac Hollins can come up with the occasional play that he'll make near the goal line. And then, Keon Coleman, while not a sterling rookie year, is still going to win some 50-50 balls. And then the running backs, Cook, and we'll see about Ray Davis. He's still in concussion protocol, might not see him go. But the tight end game, of course, is one that they can, with Dawson Knox, the way they can, I think, attack and Dalton Kincaid, the way they can attack with those two, again, in intermediate routes. But, it's one of these teams that's been so weird, guys. You look up at the end of it. It doesn't feel like this offense is doing anything great. And then they set this record for 30 touchdowns through the air, 30 touchdowns on the ground, and they're making NFL history, and Josh is making NFL history. And it's not like you said, oh, God, wow, I can't believe what my eyes just saw. But it's that gradual, steady, plotting thing. You looked up in that Denver game last week. It was 41 minutes of possession time to 18 minutes for Denver. That just bled them dry. Yep. They couldn't, with a rookie quarterback, they couldn't handle that. So I don't, and a lot of that was short passing, not just running. I think in this game, if they're out to the early lead, if they can hit enough of those plays through the air, that's problematic for Baltimore, because Baltimore's best road to victory is still on the road. It's still running the football. It's still on the ground, and as it should be. But I don't know that helps you if it's not 80-yard break runs, which you don't often see, versus a steady diet of 5 or 6 or 7 or 8-yard runs.
Vic, we have to ask you, because last year Amari Cooper gave us some of the greatest moments, set the franchise record for most receiving yards in a single game, over 250 down in Houston on Christmas Eve. He was awesome, and I know his year didn't start off great here, but I got to tell you, when the Bills made that trade and Browns got a third-rounder, Bills got Amari Cooper, I thought it was going to be good for us. We were going to need the picks, and I thought it was going to be great for Amari and the Bills. I thought he was going to be the top target. I thought he was going to be 100 yards a game, 1,000-yard receiver, all of those things. It has not materialized. And in fact, in the last game I looked, I think he ran the 5th most routes among all the wide receivers on the roster. What's happened with Amari there? Why hasn't? How are we here?
Right. I get it, and it's a fair question, and I get that one on a regular basis from Bills fans who were expecting. They got the number one guy, right? I mean, he's the number one that they were lacking, and they went out and traded for him, and what a brilliant move, and et cetera, et cetera. Look, I still think it was a good trade. Value-wise, it was ideal because from what they could handle on the cap, taking aboard what, an $800,000
not much
salary on a deal, not much. They could fit him in and let him be a tryout guy, basically a tryout guy. I don't think that, as I see the tryout right now, unless something dramatic happens over whatever is left of the postseason for the Bills, I would tell you that it's hard for me to see him even coming back here. But it's not for any negative reason. They like the guy. I think he likes being part of this. However, he is the transformative thing that was expected was probably an over-exaggeration of what he could. His presence, though, there is a nuanced, subtle thing that's there, and it's that he's on the field and commands respect of coverage. And I think what you're going to see Sunday is, what are the Ravens going to do? Ignore the guy? No. And as they pay attention to him in routes, when they come out with those multi-receiver sets, it's going to open things up for the other people I mentioned in those underneath routes, those shorter areas. And then on the occasional, and maybe I'll be all wrong and he'll be the 5 or 6 catch guy, but that really hasn't been how this offense has worked. Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator, has made this everyone eats mantra it sounded like a funny, fun cliche, but now I think it's gotten to the point where everyone eats, and it's not like one plate gets heaping stuff. Sometimes there's hors d'oeuvres. Sometimes there's, somebody gets a half a steak. Don't get the whole thing. Something, a little pasta here, and that's how this, I think the way it's been dispersed versus piles and piles of food for one guy, piles of catches and targets. And I think they're happy with this. And Amari seems to be happy with the notion based on everything I can tell. He's not a man of many words. You guys know that very well. He doesn't say a lot, but what he seems to indicate is if I'm part of something that gives me a chance to get a ring, I'll be a happy man.
All right, buddy.
Hey, there it is.
Got to hear it. How do you see it going? Yeah. By the time this thing goes final, where are you at?
Yeah, so I started the week on the fence and maybe leaning in the direction of the Ravens. That was at the start of the week. The more I've done and Nathan knows how I work, and I do that in studio there or whatever. I start watching more and more video, and much like again you guys do, you do your homework, and I keep coming up with the idea that this is a beatable team, this Raven team, that the Bills. This idea they got to have their A game. I don't know if it's an A game. It's their game. Just do what they've been doing, and that will be sufficient. Now, if they're getting blown off the ball and owned at the line of scrimmage from minute one and can't recover from that, okay, that's a different story. But I thought that was more anomaly. We haven't seen anything close to, and other teams, by the way, tried that. But of course, other teams you could say, okay, did you have the Ravens O-line? Did you have Derrick Henry? No. But it's still fair to say, look at that Detroit game that came at them with a pretty decent O-line and a pretty decent run game, and they held their own and turned it into the shootout. I think this could go that direction, but I sense that if it does, that heavily favors the Buffalo Bills.
You're the best, buddy.
It's going to be fun.
It's going to be a fun one. Enjoy it. I know you will.
Yes. Pleasure, and we'll hopefully talk to you guys again down the line.
We'll see you at the Combine for sure. Not that far away.
No, be here before we know it.
Not with you. This is true. This is true. All right. Stay well, gentlemen.
All right. There
Love
you.
Love you too, Notorious.
The great Vic Carucci joining us on the Twisted Tea Hotline, presented by Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns. Keep it twisted, Cleveland. We'll go around the sports world, and we know which team will be playing at the Bernabeu. We get the details on that coming up next. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. OBM, the preferred provider of documents and copier services for your Cleveland Browns. They'll tackle any size office. 216-485-2000. Visit ohiobusinessmachines.com. Congratulations in order for former Brown center Alex Mack. He's being inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame. Pretty good from the NFL side of things. 7-time Pro Bowler, 3-time second-team All-Pro, 2010's Hall of Fame team, 2013 years career, 196 games started. Here's the thing that's a little wonky about the College Football Hall of Fame. They have to, every class, there's like 20-some people in this class. This class has Nick Saban, Urban Meyer, and Michael Vick, so those are kind of like the headliners. But like, there's quite honestly probably 100 players in Ohio State history who belong in the College Football Hall of Fame. They've been playing football there for 120-some years. But they can only have a couple in each class. So like, for example, like Laurinaitis isn't yet a College Football Hall of Famer. He's a consensus 3-time first-team All-American. Like that, you can't get more consensus Hall of Fame than that. So they're having to make up ground on guys who, quite honestly, should have already been in, and they can't have a bunch from one school. So like those get kind of parceled out. I think everybody posthumously should just all go in at once. If that's 300 names,
so be it.
So be it. Just populate it. And then you can have how there is in the NFL where it's like, oh, you're X amount of years since you've been done. You're a first ballot College Football Hall of Famer. They got to just get through the backlog is the problem.
Do you think that, like, do they do an induction? Like, do people speak and bring their families and they do all that?
I think they do.
If you had 300 people, just logistically, that would have to be like, that would be a very difficult ceremony.
Well, I don't think you wouldn't worry about,
that. Yeah.
Sammy Baugh.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like, you wouldn't worry about if grandkids are there. I mean, you can't.
Yeah.
You can't make it right for everybody. Like, we didn't get started fast enough.
So one of the people going into it is probably, I would say, in my fantasy career, and this is at the time I started with the Browns, but I was still doing fantasy stuff, that I was 100% convinced was going to be a monster star, was Monty Ball.
I was going to say Monty Ball from Wisconsin, yeah.
So Monty Ball's going in, 2-time All-American, Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year. In 2011, he led the country, 1,923 yards rushing and 33 touchdowns. He had 39 total touchdowns, also had 300 yards and 6 touchdowns receiving. The next year, he had 1,830 yards and 22 touchdowns on the ground. Goes second round to Denver. Only was in the league for 2 years.
Gone quick, yeah. I'll tell you another one that.
Why was he out of the league?
I don't
so
know.
quickly?
It feels. I bet if you pulled up Melvin Gordon, Wisconsin, you would see a similar statistical accumulation.
But Melvin Gordon at least played.
I don't know what happened to Monty Ball, why it didn't work. But they had a stretch where it went from Ball to.
Gordon's last year was
Gordon's last year at Wisconsin.
2,587 yards rushing, 29 touchdowns.
2,587?
2,587. He added another 153 and 3 touchdowns receiving, so 2,740 total yards and 32 touchdowns. All-American Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
But then he had the game, if I'm not mistaken, because I'm pretty sure I was at a Panini's in Solon with S, who was out of his mind. By the way, out of his mind. And we had to leave. He had that huge year, but then against the Buckeyes, I want to say it was a Big Ten championship. They got
10 years ago.
Yeah, smoked, and he did nothing.
That was when Ohio State's run to the national title began. They annihilated. They weren't even going to get into the playoff. They annihilated Wisconsin that night. Wisconsin was a 14-point favorite.
Yep.
They annihilated them, and then they got in as the 4 seed, and then ended up beating Bama and Oregon.
As I remember that night, we had. Yeah, I think Ass may have had a Christmas sale or two. And I remember.
Was he just that excited, or was he
excited, losing his mind, screaming completely inappropriate things out loud with joy? And at one point, I'm not sure. I don't quite remember how it went down. If this person was a table of people who were there to root for Wisconsin, or if it was just what he had said had offended this woman to the point where she told him to stop doing because there were kids there.
Yeah.
And his response to her request for stop, and I'm like, dude, we got to get
out of here.
Like
we got to go.
You're getting in my car, and we're going.
We're going home, mess.
Yeah. I guarantee he would. he remembers that night.
Yeah, I
Oh,
would
man.
imagine that he would.
Well, actually, he probably doesn't, but he remembers the story of that night.
And the aftermath, I'm sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
In fact,
So-
that Panini's closed. He's never been back.
Maybe that was the reason why.
Yeah.
The Miami Dolphins are going to get to play the first ever NFL game in Madrid at the home of Real Madrid, the Santiago Bernabeu.
Bernabeu. That's going to be pretty cool.
That is the greatest facility on the planet, the most technologically advanced facility on the planet. They have two
For a stadium.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
They that's the one where the grass grows underneath.
Totally.
All those
Yeah.
things move and it goes underneath. Crazy, absolutely crazy.
The
It makes
Intuit
sense.
Dome's pretty good for an arena, but that for a stadium.
Yeah,
it's
for a
got-
stadium,
that's next
yeah.
level.
Yeah. It makes sense that it's Miami.
Yeah.
Like all of the people in the European people want to come to Miami to vacation. That's an easy connect to
And you
make.
think of Miami now. Messi's there. There's a lot of
Those are all Barcelona guys, though.
not that, but I'm saying
Yeah.
just there's a lot of the respect for football.
Yes.
in Miami is great and is ingrained very much in the culture of a great many inhabitants of
And
South
for
Florida.
the longest time, so many of those European soccer players vacation in Miami because they are afforded anonymity,
yeah,
where they wouldn't have that in Majorca. You know what I mean?
No, they most
so
certainly
that's
would not.
That's part of it. So it'll be Miami there. It's Indy in Berlin, and then we're in London. So that's where you go on that. Tom Brady, I thought this was interesting. Does not plan to leave the broadcast booth at Fox and plans to be there for the duration of his 10-year contract.
At no point did I think he himself would
Course.
plan to leave the booth.
He's
He
not gonna
may
give
be
up $370 million.
forced to leave the booth. So
Yeah.
yes, that is his plan.
what I said.
I don't know that Roger Goodell's plan is to allow him to be an owner. I mean, he's going to be calling a game this weekend, right? Is he doing
He's doing Detroit.
Detroit,
He's interviewed both assistants.
Glenn and Ben Johnson?
Yeah. And reportedly wants Ben Johnson bigly.
Bigly.
Yeah.
So how can you even? Is he going to acknowledge
It's
that?
preposterous.
Hey, I interviewed this guy for our head coaching job.
No, of course.
Is he going to have to be then?
Even his tone.
If he really wants Ben Johnson, he's going to have to be very complimentary
Of course.
about their offense and, oh, look at this great scheme and not really say anything negative about him, right? Like,
We do a segment in the mornings called Thing or Not a Thing, where a statement is made and then we decide if it's a thing or not a thing.
I get how it works.
Yeah. Some don't.
Some don't.
And the way that this was proposed to me was Tom Brady's agent says he plans to be in the booth for Fox for the next 10 years. Thing or not a thing? Not a thing. It's not going to be his call.
That is call.
They're going to say, pick one.
Yeah.
You can be the face of Fox, and you can get all the money that comes with that. Or you can be a minority owner in the Las Vegas Raiders, and you can get all that comes with that.
That's it.
You can't have both.
That's it.
So this was big news on the Fox side of things. I said this was a thing. Live Golf has reached a multi-year broadcast agreement with Fox Sports to broadcast more than half of its 14 tournaments live on Fox or FS1. Select rounds will be broadcast on FS2, Fox Business, Fox Sports app. Financial terms of the deal were not disclosed, even if it's free. Even if they're just giving it to Fox and Fox is like, yeah, we'll run it. Because Live has their own production. It's all
Yep.
their own people. So all they need is the broadcast air to put it on.
Yep.
That's a big win for Live.
It is, but I think the whole thing's ridiculous. We just get one tour.
Yeah, it's all cooked. But I mean, from their standing point,
Yeah, no,
they
this-
went from
this
being
helps.
on CW to being on
Yes, that's helpful.
Big Boy Fox.
By the way,
that helps.
we haven't talked about it much, but I'll just real quickly. I've now watched 10 minutes, I think, consecutive of the go ahead, you can hit that. It's 2:00. Go ahead.
You can listen to you're listening to WKNR 850 ESPN Cleveland, a good Karma brand station. Go
Very
ahead.
nice. This indoor golf thing.
Yeah, I watched about 90 seconds on Monday. Sucks.
I don't get how anybody thought this was a real
A
thing.
million people watched it
That's
Monday.
You remember how many million people watched the first weekend of the XFL?
But
This was Tiger.
I'm with you. It was awful.
It's not fun to watch.
I don't care about watching somebody hit into a simulator.
Right.
I'm never going to care about it.
No. And Tiger's not going to hit a wedge that he thinks is good 20 yards long.
No.
20 yards.
20
from
yards.
From 100 yards, he went 20 yards long.
It's right.
That's not going to happen.
No.
The greens aren't real. None of it's golf's golf.
Yeah. I don't know what they're I don't understand.
Like, could you imagine?
I know that
if
there
this
is a-
wall was a screen and I was just shooting a basketball and then we got to see if it went in the
Oh my
basket
God.
or not. What are you talking about?
What are we doing? I'm with you. I thought it was awful. I understand how it got on air. If Tiger's behind something, he's always not been a spoke on the wheel, but rather the breaking the wheel. But the thing about it is, it's really just chasing 1 million people. Yeah, or 750,000. Like, it's when people say that, like, that spring football league wasn't working. I'm like, 800,000 people. That's working.
That's working.
In today's model, that's working. So I don't know what ESPN's paying for it. I don't know how they're making their end of it. But if they can be in that 700,000 range, you can give it a go with that. I just think, for me, I'll never watch again. I thought it was utter nonsense.
Yeah. Complete and utter nonsense.
Wasn't working for me at all, buddy. Our positional review continues with the defensive tackle room. That is coming up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner, your Cleveland Browns, on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Boost your game day this season with the Ballybet Sportsbook app. Place your first bet at $25 or more. Get $150 back in bonus bets. Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. The positional reviews continue. We're in the defensive tackle room. And for some elaboration, we turn now to Dr. Z.
Not a ton to get into here, but the way that you'd sum it up is you're open the season with Dalvin Tomlinson, Shelby Harris, Mo Hurst, Mike Hall, Quentin Jefferson. Quentin Jefferson was released in the middle of the season. Mo Hurst ended the season on IR. Mike Hall ended the season on IR. Shelby Harris ended the season on IR. So the one guy that was there for you all year, even though he did miss Week 18, was Dalvin Tomlinson. 3 sacks, 26 tackles, 6 tackles for loss, 18 quarterback hits. That was a career high for Dalvin. So he played very well. Best season kind of as a pass rusher for him, maybe not in the sacks, but in terms of pressures and the quarterback hits for Dalvin Tomlinson, it most certainly was. And so he'll be in the last year. He signed that 3-year deal. They'll be in the last year of that 3-year deal for the Browns at a good rate. And I think, obviously, I would expect that he would be back there. So he played well. Shelby Harris was solid for you all season long, but, ended up on IR. He's not a spring chicken either, and that's the thing. You're unfortunately a little old here. Dalvin will be 31 next year. Shelby Harris, if I pull that up real fast, if I could spell. Shelby Harris is definitely in his 30s as well. It's not a young team on that defensive line. We are very veteran laden. Now, Quentin Jefferson got released. He's with the Buffalo Bills now. Shelby Harris, who I said, again, solid season for you. He's going to be 34 next year.
Yeah.
Mo Hurst, who missed most of the season, unfortunately, on IR. Again, he is not a spring chicken either. Mo Hurst will be 30. So not a young room on the big picture. But Dalvin will be back. I think Mike Hall, obviously, he will be back, and he's still in rehab mode, coming back from that injury at the end of the year. But you talk about a guy could get to the quarterback, was disruptive, looked every bit the part. He's a guy you expect not only to be a starter, but if you're to remove Tur from starter, what do you get?
Oh, baby.
Star.
That's right.
I think he has a chance to be a star. Jawan Briggs played really well for this football team. The rookie 7th rounder in 6 games, 13 tackles, a fumble recovery, hit, tackle for loss. But even kind of as you dive into it more and look at what he did on, kind of on a grading basis, he made it. He was noticed. He was a solid starter for you, a guy that played, not starter, but a solid rotational player for you. Actually had the 11th best grade on the defense. And if you take out people who really didn't play, anybody who played 6 games or more, he actually had the 8th best grade for you on defense this season. So Jawan Briggs, somebody certainly you could work with and strong at the point of attack. Another name I would put on here is Sam Kamara, because he's much more of a defensive tackle than a defensive end. Bounced around the league. Rotational guy. I think next year you're going to go into it with Dalvin. You're going to go into it with Mike Hall. You're going to go into it with Jawan Briggs. Perhaps one of the veterans will be back, Shelby or Mo. And then I think this is an area where you could, if you're going to make an aggressive pick on the defensive line, I think it's probably more likely to be defensive tackle than defensive end. Now, defensive end you want, but you really got nice play out of Isaiah McGuire. You got Alex Wright. You got a couple of young players there. And I thought Isaiah McGuire played great. I think he's definitely starting quality. But
could you see that as in your first pick? Like
what?
a first-round defensive tackle? Like I see people
there's
talking
only
about
way
the guy
that you take
from
from Michigan. That's a trade down.
Yeah.
And then if you trade down and take a defensive tackle, how are we getting to the quarterback?
How is that getting figured out somewhere else? Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of the deal there. Mike Hall, a healthy.
Fortunately, we haven't seen it.
No, I know, but like if he could be healthy and then out of his own way,
was he?
If he has a great offseason and comes back like locked in, he's got a chance to be a star. To your point, and so the reality is that. That's kind of the thing that could change us from like a room that needs a lot of questions answered to okay, you can go from go from a relative weakness to a relative strength really quickly if you draft one and you have Mike ready to roll.
Are you of the opinion, or from his time at Ohio State, was he relatively speaking healthy?
He was nicked up a little bit here and there.
Because remember, he had that the practice injury that cost him a few games. He had the suspension basically earlier this year, and then he had the injury at the end of the season as well. So ideally, you certainly would want, you need him to be available. And I think he can be very, very good for this team. I like you said, I think superstar is absolutely the right way to say it. Superstar. I think he has Pro Bowl potential, has a chance to be an incredible interior disruptor, sacks, tackles for a loss, all of those things. He has all of the ability to be just a game wrecker in the backfield. He's got all of that ability. We just need to see it. We need to see him stay healthy and realize that talent. But he's the one you're counting on, and he's the only one that I would say, big picture, you're saying, okay, he's the one guy that's a starter for years now. Briggs could be that, but Briggs is more of a 2-down player than he is a 3-down player. He's not a pass rusher. I still think you need another interior pass rusher brought in here, whether that's a veteran, to replace Dalvin in time, or, you draft another one.
So, in terms of, I thought we'd pull up the on ESPN.com, their Scouts Inc. best available on the defensive tackle in the rooms, and just kind of see where that kind of stacks up with some of the other ones we've done. And it is, of course, Mason Graham is they got him number 3 overall, the big defensive tackle out of Michigan. He's in there. Some other guys, Walter Nolan, he's at Ole Miss. He started at Texas A&M and was part of a really big recruiting class there and then played last year at Ole Miss. He's a stud. Tyleik Williams, Ohio State, is a stud. And a lot of people down there think in this year's draft available, he might be the surest bet of the guys
where they have him
this
kind
year.
of going.
They got him 3rd in terms of where they have him going in the draft. They have him 21st overall.
So first-round pick.
Yeah, first-round pick. Kenneth Grant is the other Michigan defensive tackle. He is 5th on theirs. They got him 41st overall. See if there's any other names that you might know out there. Howard Cross out of Notre Dame is kind of in the middle of all of this as well. He'll be in the game on Monday night. But I guess the point is there is a ton of talent along the defensive line in this draft, and especially defensive tackle. I mean, just knowing college football the way I do, there's 6-7 guys who it feels to me could make like an immediate impact.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at Dane just posted I'm looking at his 2-round mock.
I mean,
kind of where he had
in terms of scout, like top 50 players available, 7 are D tackles.
Yeah, I think that could
It's a
be.
big
So
number.
he has Mason Graham go 7th to the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
Is Shamar Stewart defensive tackle or defensive end?
It feels like he's D tackle. He's the 7th one on theirs out of
Right,
Texas.
so he has him go 15th to the Falcons. Derek Harmon from Oregon,
Yeah, he's
16th
4th on
to the
theirs.
Cardinals.
Yep.
Tyleik Williams, 23rd to Green Bay.
Got it. Walter Nolan in the first round, doesn't he?
Kenneth Grant,
Yeah,
31st to Michigan.
from Michigan. Right?
From Michigan, I'm sorry. Walter Nolan, 43rd
so he's
to
got
the
him
Niners.
lower. Okay.
So, I mean, you could, if you wanted, at 33, if you wanted to get a defensive tackle, there'll probably be some options available to you. There's going to be good running backs there as well. Like Travion Henderson's going. He has him in the 2nd round. Harold Fannin, the tight end, Gibbe's boy, in the 2nd round. A lot of tight ends and defensive tackles. Alfred Collins in the 2nd round, defensive tackle from Texas.
Yep.
So, yeah, there's
some really good players at this position, and some of them might actually fall because there will be a run on a position that maybe doesn't have the depth of talent. So that usually happens. So some of these guys could actually fall and be available. Remember, you had 3 threes.
What's Caleb Johnson, the running back from Iowa? Was he somebody that you were very, very impressed with?
Yeah, he was like their bell cow guy.
He has him going in the 1st round to the Vikings.
He must love his measurables.
And he thinks he's an outside zone rusher. He has Genty going as the 1st running back, but the 2nd.
Where's he? How far does he have Genty down the list?
Like it's late teens.
Okay.
Mid to late teens.
Yeah, he usually has a pretty good handle on the area where a guy is picked.
Yeah.
That's what it seems like to me. I mean, you see some people have Genty in the top 10. I don't know if we're there yet. So he just got 2 running backs in the 1st round.
Yep.
Nothing from Amari and Hampton.
No.
Yeah.
Amari and Hampton.
Yeah.
I'll pull it back up again.
Yeah. I mean, like I said on the running backs, we did that the other day. My goodness. I mean, Dylan Sampson, Cam Scadaboo, Trevor Etienne, Travion Henderson, Jordan James. There's a ton of talent, 2nd, 3rd round running backs.
A lot of tackles going in the 1st round.
Yeah.
As well. You said Amari and Hampton. So he's got Genty, 20th to Denver. Yeesh. Caleb Johnson, 24th to Minnesota.
Then you said Trey early second round.
Amarian Hampton, 37th to the Raiders.
Okay.
Travion, 44th to Dallas. So I also think if you're the Browns and you want to like 33, you're going to have an option to get a real dude.
You could get a starting tailback or a starting D tackle.
Yeah.
In that spot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or starting offensive tackle.
Yeah.
Seems like
all of those things could be available there.
I think if we're running wide zone, obviously we all want Nick Chubb to be back, but I think the idea that you could get a second round pick at running back who would be your mega star for a while again, just like Nick Chubb was, would be a pretty good thing.
That would be I would think so too. That's why when we were doing it, like, give me a weapon.
The question is it
fear.
so deep that in the third round you're still getting a dude?
That hard to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, if there's a running back you love at the top of the second round,
I want to score the football.
That's what I want, baby. And that's what you got to have. That's the way that it's got to be. All right, coming up next, which remaining playoff team's most important non-quarterback? We'll get to the bottom of that coming up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of Cleveland Browns, on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Want to get your kid involved with the Dog Pound? Join Junior Browns backers, presented by University Hospitals, Rainbows, Babies, and Children's in association with Cardinal Credit Union, the Cleveland Browns official kid club for kids ages 4 to 12. Enjoy events, activities, and more. Visit juniorbrownsbackers.com to join today. All right, here is the question. Who is each playoff team's most important non-quarterback? You ready?
Yeah.
You ready? Little traveling music.
Are you gonna?
If I were Gibbe?
Are you gonna do it as well?
Yeah, I'm going to participate with you.
All right.
All right, you ready? Kansas City Chiefs. I wrote down Chris
Jones. Yeah, Chris Jones, all-pro, defensive disruptor, monster in the middle, gets after the quarterback, best player on their defense, probably the best player on the team that isn't Mahomes, given that Kelsey was not at normal Kelsey levels this year.
The only other, it's a twofer, but Pacheco and Kareem, I do think that they need to get, if 20-some days off and they can get a run game out of those two,
Yep.
and you have to defend both, that's a problem.
Yep.
So, but I think it's Christians. Buffalo Bills, non-Josh Allen, most important.
James Cook, 16 touchdowns rushing this year, over 1,000 yards. He's kind of the other A player on offense.
Yep.
So I think he needs to be able to run the ball and have a big game for them.
Same. Yeah. I mean, he's the other one that can take it to the barn that you have to deal with. That's a threat that they can rely on. The Baltimore one is kind of a cheat code for it to be anybody other than Derrick Henry.
Well, you could almost go too deep on Derrick Henry and then probably Matabike or Marlon Humphrey.
Kyle Hamilton.
Kyle Hamilton. You feel pretty good
Kyle,
about Kyle Hamilton on the back end of that,
Roquan Smith.
God, they have a lot of studs.
Yeah.
It's crazy how many studs they have.
They do. For the Bills, it would probably be Cook and then either, a Von Miller or somebody, a pass rusher at Oliver.
Yeah.
Somebody that's disruptive there. Texans, I said Nico.
Nico for sure.
I mean, when he was out, it was bad. And even when he's there, it's pretty much Nico and Nico.
I think they need a little out of Mixon, too. They need him to go. I think they have to me, it's hard to – that's a big number. To me, I'm reading that as somebody knows something. I'm not reading it like it's too big. And I know there's usually a chief tax. It feels like Kansas City will bury him. Feels like Kansas City knows how to take the 20 days off. They know how to –
Yeah.
You listen to Mahomes this week, he's like, oh, yeah, we're good. Like they're healthiest they've been.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, we saw the Ravens absolutely annihilate them.
Yeah. Are you with me in terms of?
I'm shocked that the Chargers got beaten by them.
Yeah, he threw 4 picks.
I know.
That Baltimore and Detroit have this downhill nature to them.
They do.
That's hard to match. Philly's done it a little bit. Buffalo's done it a couple times. But it feels like Baltimore and Detroit, if they get you on your heels, steamroller.
Forget it. Yeah.
NFC, Detroit Leos.
I'm going to say it could be. I could have said Amon-Ra St. Brown. You could say somebody off there. I think it's the combination of, and he's returning, right? Gibbs and David Montgomery.
Shamir Gibbs and David Montgomery.
Yeah, just their ability, that the hammer that they bring is incredible.
Yeah, it was such a, a lot of people mocked them for that draft when they went off-ball linebacker, tight end, and running back with their first 3 picks, but it's all worked. Laporte is great. Gibbs is great. Jack Campbell, I don't know if he's been on that level, but 2 out of the 3 of them have been outstanding.
Campbell's been good
too. So like every box was checked in terms of that. And Gibbs is such a weapon. That's like when we're talking running back. Like, give me somebody like that who you're just like, good Lord, don't put him in space.
Right.
That's what you need. You need a weapon.
Campbell this year, 131 tackles, 5 passes defense, 1.5 sacks, 5 tackles for a loss. So
pretty good.
Pretty solid.
Pretty good.
Pretty solid. What's amazing, though, is that maybe it's just a change in the way the game was played this year, or it's the teams that are here. I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown certainly would have been a reasonable one to say for Detroit. But
yeah.
You have Cook, you have Derrick Henry, you have Gibbs and Demont. Eagles, I'm sure we're going to both say Saquon. You got a flashlight?
That is a flashlight. Saquon, yeah.
Saquon. Rams, I would say Puka Nacua, but you could say Kyron Williams would be in the conversation. And then for Commanders, I think McLaurin.
Yeah, this is a game of signal caller and weapons.
Yep.
And so if you're not a single caller and weapons, then the next thing you got to be is someone who takes those things away. So whether it's a corner or a D end or somebody who's a disruptor,
Jones is really the only defensive guy we said, though.
he's just so dominant.
Yeah.
He can be such a dominant force. And the feeling is we haven't done our picks yet, but I'm leaning Baltimore right now. And I think about them playing Baltimore, and I'm thinking they're going to need Chris Jones to be disruptive in that.
Yeah.
In a big way. That's kind of the game. That's kind of the way this game is played. Score it, find a way to stop it, and the weapon part of it is going to be critical this weekend.
That's it.
1 second-round quarterback in all of these teams. Everybody else is a first-rounder.
First-rounder, second, first. Yep.
I mean, you're talking number 2
And we're
overall,
talking-
two
yeah.
number 2 overalls, a number 1 overall, 2 number 1 overalls.
Yep.
Mahomes was 10.
10.
Allen was 6.
Yeah, 5 or 6, somewhere in there.
And then
Lamar was
at the end of the draft, and Jalen Hurts was a second-rounder. It's pretty straightforward.
I will say this, and this is something that if the Browns do take a quarterback in this draft early, that if he doesn't have immediate, success throwing the ball, I would remind anybody to go look at either Josh Allen's rookie year, look at Lamar Jackson's rookie year. We thought Lamar, when the Chargers beat them, wasn't it the Chargers that beat them in the playoffs? They played 3 safeties, and you're like, well, the book's out on him, he can't. And then he ended up becoming a tremendous thrower, wins his first MVP, I think, that right next year.
Even after you'd won an MVP, the whole league could have had Lamar Jackson.
Holy good. That's still one of the craziest.
One of the craziest things ever. Like the whole league could have. Oh, he can't throw it.
Can't throw it.
You sure?
Yeah.
I remember talking to Vic
now.
at the Combine after Josh Allen's rookie year, and he was more than skeptical about it. Like he turns the ball over in the most inopportune times. He has no sense of ball security. He's reckless with it. He's not accurate.
His playoff debut, which I think I have it right, but his playoff debut, I believe, was in Houston. And he had some of the most insane plays, running backwards, heaving the ball,
right.
doing all kinds of craziness. Let me see if I can pull up his playoff game logs. Here we go. Yeah, it was Houston. After his second season, he went 24 of 46, 264, no touchdowns, no picks, ran a little bit, but then ended up it's just some bonkers plays. And then it was really 2021 is when he really started to become a dynamic passer. 2021, he really took off because 2019, rookie season, 11 starts, 53% completions, 10 touchdowns, 12 picks. Next year, 58% completions, 3,000 yards, 20 touchdowns, 9 picks, and then it just takes off in 2020. 69%, 4,500 yards, 37. Then 63, 4,400, 36 touchdowns. 63%, 4,300, 35 touchdowns. 67%, 4,300, 29 touchdowns. And then this year, much more muted numbers passing, 3,700, 28 touchdowns. But his running, I don't think people, if we did guest stats, it would be hilarious. He's never had fewer than 6 rushing touchdowns in a season. 8, 9, 8, 6, 7, and then the last 2 years, 15 and 12.
Jeez. I wouldn't have had that many. I would have had 27 the last 2 years.
27 the last 2 years.
Jeez.
In a year where Cook ran for 16.
Yeah.
He ran for 12 still.
Yeah, it's for the, CJ had the year he had last year. Jaden had the year he had this year in terms of a rookie bursting onto the scene. There is also Bryce Young, and there is also Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, and you have to trust in your ability to identify talent and then get the best out of that talent. That's the job, because quite honestly, the Bills could have bailed on Josh Allen.
Yep.
And been like, this ain't it.
Yep.
Lamar, the Ravens tried to. We can't win with him. He's got to negotiate his own deal.
It's crazy.
After he won the MVP.
Yeah, it was really crazy.
It's nuts in retrospect. But, yeah, you have to nurture him. Peyton Manning just had a big thing with that with Kevin Clark on their platform about how, Caleb Williams is going to have his third coordinator. In his second year, he's going to have his third coordinator.
Yeah, that's hard.
What chance do you give when you do that?
It's hard.
If you're Washington, whatever it takes to keep Cliff.
Yep.
Right, that whatever that check is to keep him so that it's the same. It's just critical to these guys. All right, we'll do a little divisional round over-under. We will also play a little segment called Do Pay Attention to the Scores. It's all coming up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Elk and Elk, serious lawyers, serious issues. Call 1-800-ELK Ohio for a free case review. Elk and Elk's proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. I am told that on the Twisted Tea hotline, presented by Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns, keep it twisted Cleveland, we have the one, the only, the Gibbe. Probably from are you at a speakeasy, an Eagles? I could see you at a lounge, a Moose Lodge, maybe.
Picture.
Look at the picture of Gibbe. Where are you? You bellied up? You got 16 beers in front of you? What are you doing?
Yeah, that would be great. No, I think I just put down a second mortgage on the vet bill that I just came from.
No!
Otherwise, great.
Vet bill?
How's your Friday going?
Why are you having a vet bill?
Oh, yeah. No, like, I'm like Mr. Mom today, buddy.
Oh,
You know,
God.
I thought you
We
weren't here.
had the
I thought you weren't here because I
we
whooped
had
you in the
annual
over-unders and you
we
didn't
had-
want to
we
show
did
your face.
Annual shots.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
it'd be great. I wish I was 20 drinks into the day. That'd be great.
You got to take the Ponderosa view to the pets, Gibbe. Just the Ponderosa view was let them fend for themselves. Just leave them outside. Hope for the best. They'll be around. Enjoy them. Enjoy their time.
Bishop, is Buddy Garrity fending for himself?
He is, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, okay.
Now the other side of it, I can't help you.
Maybe
with.
that. Maybe
I
you're
did
not the
warn
right
her.
person to be dealing with them.
I did warn her. I'm going to tell you right now. This guy tears an ACL. He's going to walk with a limp. We aren't replacing it.
Dude, I've replaced 2 of them on
No.
my one dog.
Nope. He's walking with a limp.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, we're not doing ACL surgery.
Asa Woody repaired her leg
On her own.
with a power of positive thinking.
That was one of my great stories. One of your great stories was how she had a limp that all of a sudden she worked herself out of it. Fix it. Ta-da, Dad.
That's it. She did.
Oh, that is good.
It's been great.
All right, you ready for a little over-under, Gibby?
Sure.
All right.
How's
Gibby.
everything been? How's Carucci? How's the
He's
Godfather?
Notorious was great.
He just
He's living his best life. His team is still playing for something.
Exactly. He was locked in. He didn't know pleasantries. He was right into business.
Yeah, he was so locked in. Sometimes, the only thing with the Godfather is sometimes I think he has trouble elaborating. So,
definitely a 1-word or 2-word.
That's all you're
guy.
getting.
That's all you're getting.
That's all you're getting.
Absolutely.
That's it. That's it.
All right. Last
It's a real
week,
challenge.
it is. Last week on the over/under front, did not go well for Gibby. Remember,
That's why he's not here. I think
that's why he's not here.
he's not at the vet. He's embarrassed. He's shamed that he was bested, beaten, swallowed
I'm not
whole.
ashamed of
Swallowed
anything.
That's probably the
Trust me when
truest
I
thing
tell
that's
you.
ever been said on
Least of
Cleveland
which
Browns Daily.
losing to you.
Yeah.
There's
There's no shame in that. You're right.
No shame. You guys were even up at the end of the regular season last week. Z with a 4-1 performance. Gibbe a 2-3.
Now it's just ball, Gibbe. It's just who knows ball. G-Man
yeah.
loving it. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
G-Man loves it.
He's
What time,
he's
G-Man,
really
what time
excited.
did Zagura show up today?
Same
There
time.
it is.
There it is.
There it is.
There it is.
There it is.
G-Man.
G-Man, you know what
I'm sure
the
you'll hit the golf simulator at 2:55.
you know what the appropriate answer to this question is?
3:55,
On
you'll
time.
Be like, hey,
Oh,
today,
Right when I
gotta
needed
go.
to.
Did you hear that,
I
Gibbe?
gotta go.
Did you hear
On
that,
time.
Gibbe?
What?
On time is what the G-Man said.
Yeah.
On time is when he showed
You're
up.
On
darn
time.
right.
On time, prepared.
All right, you guys ready?
I did a ton of stuff this morning. I helped
Over,
the kid.
under.
I brought the sous vide to the kid and got him bagged up and prime rib going. He's doing prime rib.
Oh,
tonight.
he's doing it?
Yeah. So meat.
Just a random January prime
Yeah,
rib
he's like
Friday?
a big fan. He's like, hey, I got to make prime rib. I have this big family dinner tonight. So I had him get 2 large 2-boners that could fit into my tub. Brought the tub over,
know.
got it all set up. I did the rub for him.
bet
Got
you
it in
did.
the oven, ready
I
to go.
bet you did.
Yeah, I did, Gibbe.
Gibbs.
So you're talking about brotherhood, fellowship, kindness, generosity, on time, performing at a very high level. Who knows what I'll perform at next at a high level? Other things were performed at a high level. It's been a banner day for me, quite frankly.
Well, that's the first one of the week.
All right, here you go, kids.
No, actually, many banner days.
You go first, Dr. Z. You have you're now
Robust
45
lead.
and 41 to Gibby's 43 and 44 is where we are on this. We are going to start the over-unders These are G-Man provided, as the over-under committee retired after the regular season.
I like that.
So these are G-Man provided. So we'll start with you, Dr. Z.
Okay.
The number we are looking for is pass yards. We're looking for pass yards, Patrick Mahomes. The over-under is 249.5 out of Dr. Z.
What did I write down there was my initial number
250.
before you even said it.
Yep.
No time for research.
There's
No time for research. The G-Man's coming at him.
There is plenty of time.
There's no
for
precedent
research.
with the numbers with Mahomes anyway. They've been off for 20 days.
Last time these teams met,
Zagura figures this out.
260 over.
Over. Give it. Over or under?
I'm taking the under.
Under. Give it. Next.
Over, under.
Jaden Daniels, rush yards. Gibbe, 56.5. Rush yards. Jaden Daniels, 56.5.
56.5. I feel like he's got to take the over for them to have a chance to win. He's got to be peak Jaden Daniels for them to have a chance. So I will take the over.
Over at a Gibbe. Dr. Z.
I'll do the same. Over.
Next.
Over, under.
Saquon Barkley, receiving yards. Receiving yards for Saquon Barkley, Dr. Z, 15.5.
I mean, that just
Did you
requires
say 15.5?
15.5. Receiving yards. Receiving yards. Basically, one catch would do it. Prey hasn't done it much, though, based on the reaction
I
you're
was
having.
going to say, do they not throw him the football?
So here's Saquon Barkley's receiving yards in, I'll just go game by game, starting like most recent. 4, 2, 0, 9, 0, 10, 47. Who was the 47 against, might you ask? Well, that was against the Los Angeles Rams.
Oh, baby.
Season high, 4 catches, 47 yards. I mean, they are not throwing him the ball, but this feels like a great time to unleash that. I'll take the over. It just takes one swing pass.
Give it.
I have to go over. That number is so small.
I mean, he hasn't gone over. The last time he went
pass. The
last time he went over was November the 24th. But
Next.
Yeah,
I like it. I'm with you. I'm with you, Gibbe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Over, under.
Lamar Jackson pass
I think the other
attempts.
thing-
We're not going to have time for all this, guys. We got to get through all the score. We have like 3.5 minutes.
All right, fine. I think weather is going to
All
be
right,
a
fine.
big
He says-
factor
I
in
like
all of it.
pontificating Gibbe.
There's no time for it. All right. What are we at? We're at Lamar pass
I'll
attempts.
keep us going, Bo. Don't worry.
Lamar pass attempts. And
Gibbe.
this one is for Gibbe, 27.5.
Oof. Under.
Z? Over. For Dr. Z. Next.
Over, under.
We are looking for
What was the number again? Sorry,
27.5.
I mean, it's high for him. That is way above his average.
Josh Allen passing touchdowns. Passing touchdowns, Dr. Z, 2.5.
Passing exclusively.
Passing exclusive touchdowns.
Under.
Gibbe?
Yeah, I'm at 2. I'm thinking he's throwing for 2.
All right, under as well. All right, there you go. All right, Gibbe.
Gibbe,
Good talking to you.
Best case scenario, we're tied for you.
Get right in the mix.
That's fine.
That's fine. It's a good scenario.
I'm fine. Just I'm lurking.
I'd
I'm
like
a
to be at
professional.
4 after this. And
That's
good night, Irene.
That could be
Yeah,
the end
there's
of
a
it.
good chance that could happen as well.
I'd like that.
All right, buddy. Enjoy
All
the
right,
rest of your
Gibbe.
day,
Yeah,
Gibbe.
hope the rest of the day's better.
Get your rations together. The polar vortex is coming.
It's coming. We'll be
The
there.
end of the world.
That would be fine. Start
Make
it.
some
Whatever.
soups.
I've had a good run.
It's been a great run. Make some soups. That'll solve
Yeah,
it.
perfect.
I feel like it's an easy
All you
solution.
gotta do is make soups.
Duh.
That's it. All right. We've got scores to do. Go, G-Man. See you, Gibbe.
All right, here we go. Divisional week of the scores. The Houston Texans, led by C.J. Stroud, travel to Arrowhead against the Chiefs. Big line. What do we got?
I got Kansas City 27, Houston 14.
Dr. Z.
Same.
All right, beautiful. Moving on. Washington Commanders travel to Detroit. The Lions looking to make their second straight NFC Championship appearance. Dr. Z.
Commies game. 33. Leons 30. Commies.
Oh my gosh,
Wow.
the straight upset he calls for. The
Wow.
upset.
No. Lions 33. Commies 30.
You said commies.
I know, but
33.
I was
Okay.
I,
All right.
it's irrelevant
like a
for what
backtrack.
are the irrelevant for the purposes of what we're doing.
True. Very true. To me, this is my somebody knows something. Detroit 41, commies 30.
Yeah, this one definitely flies in the face of.
On to the link. Rams travel to Philly to take on the Eagles. Should be a snowy one on Sunday afternoon. Bo Bishop.
Just ram it, baby. Wouldn't be surprised if they sprung it, but I think at the very least they'll be game. I know Philly crushed them last time out. I think LA's a little better this time around. We'll see. I can see Philly winning, but they don't have to. Give me Philly winning this one 19-16.
So this one to me is the somebody know. It'll be so interesting how this works out on the
crosses
somebody
over.
knows something. There's no way that this time makes no sense to me whatsoever. Give me the Eagles, huge. The emotions, a lot of that riding high, over with. Eagles by 15,
And
41-26.
finally, what is being billed as the game of the year?
Oh, baby.
Baltimore Ravens,
Till next
Buffalo
week.
Bills. Dr. Z.
I think they're the hottest team in football right now.
Same.
Ravens in a classic 38. Justin Tucker redemption from 49 yards.
Oh, baby.
38-36 Ravens.
Yeah, I think Baltimore's going to kind of lead the whole way. And I don't know if I'll ever I think they win, and I think it's always kind of their game. That's what just feels like their year for me, but we'll see. So much more to come, including a score on the national championship game. That is coming up next, just a Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, there you go. We are off on Monday in observance of Martin Luther King Jr. Day. We'll be back on Tuesday, provided we survive the polar vortex.
We'll be back. Make
Some way,
soups.
some way. Yeah, make
Buckeyes
soups.
are going to keep us warm.
They're minus
Yes,
8.
yes.
Buckeyes, comfortable, 27-13.
I think Notre Dame's really good I just think that they are maxed out on what they can be, and I think there's a lot
30.
of roadmaps for the Buckeyes. I'm with you. I think they'll be in the 30s. I think Notre Dame will be in the teens. And Cruise City, one of the 10 years after they won it the first time in the first college football playoff, they win it in a 12-team college football.
Thank goodness
Playoff.
for that
Yeah.
12-team playoff.
Absolutely. No question about it. Enjoy your long weekend, everybody. The next level is coming up next. Thanks for listening. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.